It's 6:54. I'd like to call this regular select board meeting to order and to recognize the public that I'm aware of, and there's one person I don't know there in the back. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Chris LaFlamme. I'm representing the Guilford Recreation Commission tonight.
Oh, great, thank you.
Yep.
Nice to meet you.
Everybody signed in, right?
Yeah, I don't think I've gotten any yet.
Oh, you know what, we have a new sign-in sheet for this meeting, so I'll have you all sign in again. Sorry about that.
The rules of procedure for the select board meetings are on the sign-in, under the sign-in sheet. If anybody has any questions, refer to them or please ask us. Because we have a full agenda tonight, I want to ask that comments and requests and presentations be limited to 10 minutes if possible. And then we'll just hopefully get out of here before 10:30.
Hey.
No, we will. I know, Dick, there's a game on tonight.
Priorities.
I know, right? I want to find out if there are any additions to the agenda for this evening.
If we could just talk about the grant administration for if they were to get the plan grant through VCDP.
So would you like me to add that to before the grant list?
If that's okay.
We'll be very quick.
Okay.
Grant administration. All right, any changes to the agenda order? None. So the next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the special meeting that we held on October 12th, 2016. Did you make those changes? I didn't know your changes.
I noticed.
So one of them was the date.
Yeah,
I did.
Both the
Okay.
same date, they just started early, that's all.
That's the
you
4
were
o'clock
at-
one,
One
right?
had September 26th
Right,
at the top.
so that was it.
Okay. And Dick wasn't on
So
anymore,
the
that's-
special meeting of October 12th, can I hear a motion for approval of
A
the
motion
minutes?
to approve the minutes from the.
And Dick, you were here for that
Yeah.
meeting?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can second that if you want.
Second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
And the second item under approval of minutes is approval of the minutes for the regular meeting of October 12th.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second, sorry.
All in favor? Aye.
It's hard without the other two.
I can't
isn't it?
multitask. You're asking way too much from me.
Okay, so now wait a minute so we can sign them and then we'll talk about grant administration. Thank you. Gabby and Troy are out tonight. Troy had a planned absence and Gabby is unplanned. Not feeling well. Okay. The next item on the agenda is the new item, grant administration. Isaac, is this you or Katie?
It's sort
Well,
of both of us.
I can start the discussion. Can I sit here? So,
Sure. You don't have to stand here.
well, I like this seat. We had started talking about this project probably back in June or July. And at the time, we had requested that Katie, as town administrator, knowing this grant source, understanding both the online system and the administration responsibilities, was probably in the best role to assist us through the grant administration, which there isn't a whole lot with a planning grant. It's not like a construction grant, but she's done enough construction grants so she knows those too. So Katie had said, geez, I think the select board would go with that, because
I've done it before.
I've done it before, I know how to do it, it's efficient. Well, of course, we don't have Katie anymore after what, tonight?
Yeah.
So
Tomorrow, actually. Yeah.
that's left us thinking a little bit. I hate to set up a new, it needs to make promises on behalf of a new town administrator. And we were wondering if the town would allow us to do the grant administration.
Allow us.
If I could donate.
Basically, we would donate the grant
Yeah.
administration together
To the project.
to the.
You would.
Yes.
Not
So I wouldn't be employed by the town of Guilford. I
Okay,
would
so it
be-
wouldn't fall on the town, a new town administrator,
No,
it would be
I would
Katie
do it.
being
I
volunteer.
would do it as a, as a in-kind donation.
There are things that a new town administrator is gonna have to do.
Yeah.
There's certain certifications, but Katie could walk that person through that.
Right, so it'd be a
Knowing how it
learning
works.
process, and also you'd have an advantage, I would assume.
Yes.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
If Katie's.
So what,
Katie's
basically what you do is probably put a value on the time, our
We
time.
have placed a value on
On our
it.
time, and then it will be donated as in-kind.
Mhm.
So it's not like the child writes a check,
Mhm.
it's just donated to the
It's
project.
donating, what we would have to do if we're awarded the grant is you'd have to have a contract with Katie. The town would have to have it's a template, to have the language. We would just place zeros in some dollar lines. And
Okay.
You'd have to have an administrative contract with Katie to do the grant.
Understood.
So,
I think that makes sense, is there any discussion about that?
Zeros are good.
Zeros are good? Would anybody
I
like to?
I will make the motion that, how would you like me to frame this, Katie? Since you're the one that,
Move to authorize Katie to do the grant administration for this grant as an in-kind service to the town,
perfect.
should the grant be awarded.
So moved, perfect, thank you.
All in favor?
And guys, it's the two of us.
Aye.
Just,
Aye.
thank you.
Thank you.
Should you should you mention both of you?
I will mention both of us.
Yes.
Great, thank you,
Thank you
Isaac.
very much, thank you, Isaac.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
On the agenda, next is grand list, errors and omissions, and then a little bit about mapping and the reappraisal update. With Lisa Berry, lister, and Jeremiah Sund is here also.
As assessor clerk?
As assessor clerk.
Oh, absolutely.
Is there, do they need to sign, do they need to sign something? I thought they had to sign errors and
Oh.
omissions.
Yeah, that's right. We did,
Thanks, Isaac.
we did kind of forget to,
I can print something after
Yeah.
and leave it. I'll print something with a sign, the signature.
yeah, because we're not gonna stick for the whole meeting, so.
I just won't be around to grab their signatures.
No, because you're gonna be here through the meeting. We're gonna escape after
Oh,
we do our
very
part.
good, got it.
I'll
And you
just print
tonight.
something with a signature at the
Yeah,
bottom.
yeah.
It's just a description of what's going on,
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay.
Okay, so I guess starting with the errors and omissions.
Could you stand up so that you
Oh,
can
you wanna call that?
be seen on television
Sure.
and heard?
I'll let Jeremiah talk about that. Go ahead.
Beautiful.
Lisa, very quickly pass that off to you, Jeremiah.
Delegation of expenses.
I'm gonna do it.
So that's you got the page in front of you, okay. I'm gonna just summarize what's in front of you instead of reading it verbatim. Essentially, Mr. Curley and the Gaines property down on Route 5 had a lease arrangement for the
Crematorium.
crematorium, and so Mr. Curley had called me about 2 weeks in September, saying that he had gone bankrupt and the business was dissolved, and he should no longer pay the property taxes as per their lease agreement. But the town doesn't see the lease agreements, so we just send the tax bills based on, essentially what is told to us. I subsequently went down and spoke to Miss Gaines to verify the lease arrangement. She said that that was a pretty accurate, description. So both parties are in agreement that the tax bill should be sent
To the Gaines.
to the Gaines property. So it being after June 30th, the only option, we have to do it through errors and omission. So essentially, we're just going to be sending the tax bill that was sent to Mr. Curley to Jackie. There might be, she has the ability to grieve that value for 2 weeks after she gets the tax bill. So that is a possibility as well. But
And
that
you
would-
have increased the assessment?
No, the assessment's the same. It's just when the assessment is added to her tax bill, it goes by the amount. It goes up by the amount that was on the
I see.
building. So,
So that difference is this new piece, basically.
right. Essentially,
Okay.
the 35,500 is the amount of the building,
Which brings it to the 441.
yeah.
Okay.
And so that's that's really about. And I just quoted the statute there, obviously, but.
Good.
Thank you. That's it? One
Well,
error?
I think you got
I was gonna say, that's the whole thing. We just, we
Right.
have, because it's of the date, we
We have
have,
to.
instead of just doing it, we have
Right.
to.
So
go
the
Yeah,
through it.
select
makes
board
sense.
has to basically sign and agree that
And then that gets filed in the book with the grant
Good.
list, with your signatures.
Okay.
That's
And I'll
fine.
include this as a record.
It reverts back to the original owner, right?
I'm sorry?
It reverts back to the original owner.
And it does, and we did try, I called Jim Curley a couple times, left him a message asking if we could get a copy of the lease, and he never replied, never called back,
Yeah, move to accept the commission as presented.
so.
I think that's really about
So
it.
is there a,
Yes, I'll make a motion to accept this errors and omissions description for this property as presented by our listers.
second?
Yep.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Okay, so first, you're in a turbo track, we'll move right along. Reappraisal update.
You can get the paper in front of you.
You do too. So this is the map of our town, really, it truly it is. Everything you see in yellow,
Hand it out to him as well.
yep, I will pass it. Everything that's in yellow, we have sent out our letters saying, please give us a call or email us, and
Oh, is that the roads?
those are all the roads,
Yeah.
yep. So we've sent out all the letters to the residents of all the roads that are in yellow. So basically, there are a total of 937 improved properties in town. We've sent out 666 letters. So there are 271 residential properties still to send letters. We've already printed them and divided them into 2 batches. There are then also 30 or so special properties, farms and commercial properties, that we are not amongst that. We're not sending letters. We're going to treat those very specifically and just, approach the people and ask to get into them. So basically, we're about 58% complete with inspections over 5 months, 3 days a week. And we will keep going with the inspections at the rate that we're currently going, and then hit it up, basically until there's too much snow to, once everything's covered in snow, it doesn't work so well
Right.
for exteriors anyway, and then hit it up again in the spring.
He's been doing, it's about 100 inspections a month,
Mhm.
so we anticipate him to be done this, well before
Well,
spring.
before the deadline?
Yeah,
Wow.
in the spring. So, well, he does have the ability to work more days. It's just we don't really. He's working in another town.
Yeah.
So remind us what the deadline for the completion date is.
We need to
projected
have it
be?
for the next year's ground list.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's.
So everything, that means we're going through, coming up with market values, and we're going out and driving the roads and doing all of our neighborhoods, we're doing our influence factors, we've got to do all the data entry and,
I
calculations.
think it's June 15th is
June
the grand
15th?
Yeah.
Thank
is.
you.
is the grand list, and then there's June 30th is when the final grand list is
Mhm.
lodged for the
Okay.
tax bills.
So you're feeling pretty good based on this
Well,
58%?
Well, there's
where we
still a
are.
lot to do, but,
Right, no, but we're in a good position in terms
Yeah.
of,
Based on
The
the amount of
visiting-
inspections he's doing,
right,
I think
Good.
we're on
I think you're
pace
doing well.
to do that. We're gonna, so the way the process works is the data collector is gonna be doing a lot of the data entry over the winter months when, instead of doing inspections from, based on his notes. So he'll have a better idea of how many interiors we got. That's the one, there's a percentage of interiors and exteriors.
Mhm.
The numbers that Lisa just quoted are kind of just really exterior numbers. We'll have a better idea how many got inside at that point, and we can decide if we want to make phone calls or do anything additionally to try to bump that number if we want to as well.
and actually, I spoke with Russ, who, we're not in the room at the time, today, and
Russ,
Russ Bodwin, who is with the company who's doing this, he's the head honcho, and he is going to start. They're gonna because right now you've got Dan going out. We print out property record cards for him. He goes out there and he does exteriors and or interiors. But he dates and everything when he does them. So they're gonna start not doing the data entry because they're saving that for the winter months when they can't do the inspections anymore. But they're gonna start entering the inspection dates and everything. And then we're gonna actually be able to tell and get a monthly report on how many inspections have actually been done. So that will be coming.
okay.
It's just gonna take a little bit to get that to that
Okay,
point.
thank you.
So the 58% complete does not necessarily include interior inspection?
Correct.
Okay.
What,
And you don't know what percent
Not now.
At this
of
point,
that,
okay,
right.
fair
And
enough.
I don't know, I mean, technically, that's just the inspection portion, so there's a data entry portion to
Gotcha.
that.
Fair enough.
So I don't know
Okay.
how much of that is done, I don't know how much, but what I'm saying is, that's his.
In addition,
He's
I
done
spoke
exteriors
with Dan Bodwin today, who's doing the inspections, and he's gonna go and do a count and let me know, probably tonight, how many, he's actually gotten into.
Gotcha.
And I can forward that to you guys.
Okay, great.
It'd be
thank you.
just nice to add to it, thank you.
We just weren't able to get the information in time for tonight.
Good update.
Lisa, you had a small report on the statewide property parcel mapping project?
Yes, there is a new program, a statewide program, in which the state will fund, well, it depends, depending upon where the town is in having mapping done in GIS, they will fund a year's worth or the creation of, or something like that. With this little, what I wrote was really specific to where we as Guilford are. Because if you guys want to look into it, you can get the information on the whole project. But for what it means to Guilford is that, so we went and we paid X number of dollars to get our maps done. Now we have an annual fee that we pay to do our updates. Okay, so what is going to happen is the state will pay 1 year's annual fee for updates. Now, a couple things is one is that it has to meet, there are brand new data qualifications, standards that have to be met. Most of those are already met. The one thing that's different is having the span, because no towns use the span in their maps anyway, but it is the one constant that for every town in the state is the span. We all have the span being, the same 3, 3, 5 kind of setup. And the whole idea is state-sponsored online applications like the ANR Atlas and the E911 viewer you'll be able to look at any map in any town. It's not going to have all the data and everything like that. You'll be able to, it's still just being discussed within the state exactly how much information is going to be out there. You're not going to have things like names and addresses. It's going to be pretty much like looking at where the parcels are.
But more
And-
accurate.
What's that?
But way more accurate.
But way more accurate.
Way more accurate.
Way more accurate, because
Way
all the
more
towns are
accurate.
putting in their information. So this does two things for us. One is it saves us 1 year's worth of our annual fee. The other is, if you guys will remember, when we started this project, we thought that the maps on the wall were our baseline, and we discovered that those were 10 years old. They were 10 years outdated anyway, and we thought that was, so we went, it was like, okay, great, and we did all this work from the 2005 up, and then it's like, oh my gosh, there's 10 years worth of data that never even made it to that map. So, we are going through every single survey in the vault, survey by survey, looking through every single parcel, and marking everything and getting things ready to send. Now, because that is going to be a lot more work than Main Street GIS was planning on us having on it, you know what I mean? Because they were planning on us having like maybe under 20 changes per year, and that's why it's X number of dollars. And we were going to be able to, get a few more in every year, but it would take a long time to get up there. So what we're doing is we're saying we want to be in the first year of this 3-year thing, and we're working our buns off trying to get everything and dump a lot of stuff on Main Street GIS and let them bill us extra because the state will pay for it.
Right.
And that's is valid. I talked to the woman who's
Leslie,
exactly, and she understands. She's like, yeah, absolutely, we'll pay for that.
great.
Awesome.
So you
Excellent.
beef up year one.
Yeah,
And
beef
then
up,
just coast.
and then coast, and then we still have our regular 2,400. And then, so basically, what it means is that it was going to shorten our timeline of having that backlog done, because we're going to try to get it done in 1 year instead of trickling it in over 5 or so years.
But we have in the paper, it says something like that, we've gone through about 100 and, this is right.
Yeah, okay, so there are about 450 surveys total. And we've already looked through about 245 and come up with 120 updates. But we anticipate another 65 or so.
The further you go back, some of the new surveys take into account the old surveys. So that's why we're working from the ahead backwards. And so that's why we project it to be a little bit less in the trailing year.
Yeah, because we are going backward.
Yeah.
We are literally going backwards in time.
Thank you.
So we're in 2000 right now, for those who care.
Thanks a lot. Any questions or comments about this?
That's awesome.
Good work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you a lot,
Much
and you
appreciated.
feel better, Lisa.
Oh, thank you. If you don't mind, I'm going to keep this.
you're gonna get that, print out that thing now?
Yeah, I'm gonna print out
Yes.
the signature page.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And
Thank
whatever,
you.
it'll have whatever statutory language you need on there, right?
Right,
No, just,
it's, because of this,
This does it?
well, it's got the statute and everything in here, so we can just,
Yep.
we can cut and paste from the statute.
The next item on the agenda is the law enforcement contract, but Lieutenant Oliver could not be here this evening, and so we are moving that to the November 14th
Good.
Agenda. Cheryl Franklin is up for the Wyndham
Should I come
Solid
up here?
Waste Management
Oh, sure.
Division fiscal year 18 budget. And I personally need to thank Cheryl for giving me a lot of time Friday to explain it. And Cheryl, you have a copy of what I prepared for the select board?
Yes, I do.
And I put in your corrections.
Okay.
So I'm hoping that people have a
Yeah, I
chance
have
to
some
read
extra
it
copies.
before the meeting. I will say one thing, Cheryl, I did write to Lou Russo,
Okay.
his office. I didn't get an answer today. I wrote over the weekend and I thought maybe I'd get an answer today, but I did not.
Okay.
And that was to the question about what were they gonna vote on first.
Exactly. I think you copied me on that.
Oh, okay.
So, okay. So has everyone read over what Sheila compiled for you? She did a great job in trying to make it real concise here. So I'm not going to be able to attend the next meeting on November 10th. I've spoken with Troy and Sheila about that. That night there'll be 2 votes. One is for selecting a budget. So the budgets are based on either continuing status quo or stopping the trucking and the operation of the MRF. The other vote will be to choose possibly a new assessment model. Currently the model is based on population alone.
So fee assessment.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So we've had several meetings, little separate committees that I was on, both the finance and this, what we call an alternative funding committee that Brattleboro kind of spearheaded. They pushed to have that done. Because at one time we were talking about doing a fee for service at the district. But after going through all that and the analysis, didn't seem very feasible to go in that direction. But what came out of that is that possibly we should do something other than population to base the charges. So we come up with hybrids of probably population and grand list. And
Those are your recommendations to the full board of supervisors?
that's what the alternative funding committee.
Yeah.
Came back to.
Yes, back to the full board. And as Sheila's,
Do you explain that?
do I explain that?
Like the whole reason of involving the grand list?
Well,
Just for the audience,
Oh,
No,
more
it's
than
a-
anything.
that's a very
Okay.
good point.
the population base doesn't include second homeowners,
Seasonal residents, yeah.
seasonal residents, which there are a lot of in the wintertime in several of the 20 towns. It doesn't also include businesses. It doesn't get that into the equation. So, and the fee for service was very difficult because it was going to take a lot of time to keep the bookkeeping end of it, and so it may have ended up taking another, like a half employee. So we figured we didn't need that expense. And in addition to that, where you have 24/7 recycling bins, and anyone in the community, anyone in the 19 or 20 towns that I guess it is, can use any. So if there was contamination, you were gonna charge for that, or it was just
Hard to point the
yeah,
finger
hard
on
to,
where it
right,
came from.
right. So that was why we went to looking at the hybrid models.
Now, while you're talking about the hybrids, just quickly, there's at least 2. There's a 75-25 or a 50-50.
Right.
I didn't understand this 100 housing unit. Is that 100% grand list? or-
The housing unit is another possibility, but we
Okay.
didn't seem to go down
Good.
that
Okay.
road. We've seemed to come to, after looking at what the fee-for-service gave us for numbers for individual towns, the hybrids of the grand list and the population most truly reflected that. as opposed to housing units. Because there were questions
Fair
with
enough.
housing
That-
units as
I
to,
just didn't
do you include, if it's a condo, do you count
Right.
every single unit? And there was a lot of variables there, so we just threw that one out of the,
And my only,
Community
my,
like Guilford, we have no way of reporting out the true number of housing units.
oh,
Because
okay.
we don't have zoning.
Oh, okay.
now, if we feel fairly strongly that maybe the grand list is a better way to look at this instead of the population or a combination of the two, why not even push the grand list side even harder?
Well, I sort of like that
I'm
myself.
sorry, would you repeat what you just, I didn't,
Why not
So-
100% grand list?
Well, I mean, or 25% population and 75%
what did Brattleboro
grand list.
vote for? 50-50, right?
Brattleboro has instructed their board representative to go with the 50-50. I did like the full grand list, and as we all know, most municipalities, that's how you build, is on grand list.
Right.
But there's going to be such a drastic change for
fair
many
enough.
of the towns
Right.
that they didn't.
That they
feel
felt that, so this
that would
is,
be, sticker shock.
a big
So-
piece of this is being driven by the 6 votes that Brattleboro has in terms of, and equalizing a
Yes.
softer cushion.
Yes, and actually Brattleboro would do better with the full grand list.
Right,
But
Right.
the board as a whole felt there were too many towns that would be adversely affected if we went.
well, we've been doing population for a very
For
long
a very
time,
long
and
time.
therefore,
Did they consider graduating it in over 3
Well, that's-
years?
Well, that was
was my
another
next
issue
question.
that came in at the board meeting is, we may end up starting with a hybrid of 75-25, going to 50-50 later, and, watching it, and so that's a possibility that they would
Okay,
ease into it.
thank you for letting
So-
me take you off track on
Okay. Okay, so you put all the numbers in there now, Sheila.
I did, right.
So anyways, we could end up, depending on how the votes go, with anywhere from 14,500 to in excess of 30,000 for the
As
assessment.
a fee for Guilford's taxpayers
Yes,
to
so
enjoy the
there's
services.
quite a variety there.
And
Yeah.
we currently pay about 26.
Yes, correct.
And for the 26 that we currently pay,
Mhm.
it's my understanding from reading this piece that Sheila put together, is we have ensuring collection locations are available in a town or district for management of materials, including used oil, electronics, propane tank cylinders. And then organizing 4 hazardous waste days per year.
Yes, that is part
Is-
of what you get from the district.
And what else do we get from the district for the $26,000 that we spend every year?
Well, we
Or
did
we
have
have
the
been.
recycling bins. Those are not located in Guilford.
Algiers, which we're
But you
taking.
can, but anyone in Guilford can use any of the other boxes in, say, Brattleboro, Vernon,
Okay.
wherever, in the 20 towns. And so outreach, education, and hazardous waste are your main.
That's it.
My questions exactly.
Interesting.
And this
But
is by
is it-
law.
Is it also that it provides a location for us to bring solid waste?
No.
No, we have
Like
to pay.
trash?
No, we have to pay
Well,
to
you-
Right,
dump.
right, but it basically pays for that facility to exist and then there's a fee to use it, but.
Mhm. I guess.
and
I-
it-
Well,
I
towns with
guess, I
transfer
mean, that's-
stations.
yeah, there
Because
that
if
would-
not, to me personally, this doesn't feel like $26,000 worth
You
of.
think?
No, and that's where I struggle and have struggled with
Yeah.
this for a long time.
So, I
So,
mean, you can private haul to there, self-haul. Is that what you're
Yeah.
asking? Yes, but there's the alternative.
So we
to-
subsidize that facility is what we do.
Yes,
But we could go down to 142 and just pay the fee.
to 142. Oh, yes, yes. I wasn't
Okay.
sure what.
Which we
142
don't subsidize.
Yes, no.
No, that's
That's a
that's
privately owned,
Yeah.
yes.
so I think we have that
Okay.
as a, right, we don't have that option this year.
No.
We have, there's a deadline to withdraw from the entity, and that would require a public hearing and
Yes.
Yeah.
and a whole lot of analysis before we could do it. I think we have a really good understanding now of what we're getting for our money.
Thank you. That
And,
was what I-
and what we don't know, so a question I have for you, Cheryl, is
Sure.
last year we went to the November, I think I was there at the November 10th, whatever that
Okay.
meeting was, where they
Okay.
presented the budget. But they didn't actually vote on the budget till January. I mean, we actually didn't know what the budget was going to be
Right.
until, so are they going
We're
to decide
hoping-
in November this year?
That's the plan. We were gonna vote in October, but it didn't happen, so I'm not guaranteeing anything. But that is the plan, to vote on November 10th. And Lou Brousseau has been pushing to get these numbers finalized quicker for the town, so that they can get them into their
So
own
these
budget.
projected budgets are still projected?
Right now they are.
Okay.
So until November 10th, hopefully they'll be vote, and then they will be approved.
Okay, okay, so there's not gonna be any more changes to the budget projections that we have, you think?
The only, there's been some discussion that if the board were to vote to close and have no MRF and no trucking, there'll be some retention monies that are not included in these budgets, because if you wanna hold your employees when they know that the end is coming,
Understood.
they'd have to give them some
I forgot
severance
to add
pay.
that, right, yeah.
And if they take the boxes, or end the boxes June 30th, then theoretically there would be recyclables to take care of into the month of July.
Mhm.
Weren't you guys
So-
gonna end the recyclables like 2 years ago anyway?
Yes, that's what.
And then they didn't get
They keep
ended.
wobbling back and forth, so
It's a huge
it's a
expense.
question that keeps
Yeah.
the research
Surfacing.
going back and
Okay.
forth, so.
I think for tonight, we have two decisions to make. And they're not informed by which choice comes, which motion is gonna be
No.
made. So if the assessment change motion was acted on first, then we would say if it is 50-50, go this way, if it's 75-25, go this way. If it doesn't, but if it's a budget, we have to say what our,
Right.
what we,
So-
MRF, and no MRF, no trucking, or
Right,
MRF.
or MRF, or existing operations, yeah,
Can you just
Why
tell
would
us
that
what
influence-
stands for?
materials recycling facility.
So that's the, just so, very good.
Why do you feel that the vote on the recycling would influence the other vote as to how the calculation for the budget, you know, what population
Because-
versus grand list? Why would that have an impact on it so significantly?
Because each individual town's rep is going to look at their own line, and that's
Right.
it.
But won't they look at that same line whether there's recycling or not?
Yes, but the towns with transfer stations,
Okay,
Well,
so
then-
it's the 5 towns or
there's 8 or
whatever
9, yeah.
with transfer
Those
stations
towns
that
will
would, I
then
see.
become responsible, because any place that
I
accepts
see.
trash, they have to accept recyclables under Act 148 by law.
I see.
So they then would have to get rid of those recyclables, you know, it would be
Okay,
really private,
fair enough. I didn't think
So
of that
those-
aspect,
they're
so
adding
that makes
those-
sense.
those two numbers together. I think that there was something that showed that in
Yes.
that package from the
There
district,
is.
yes.
But,
So that's
okay.
what all those different lines are.
So,
If, and I guess now, let's talk just about the recycling piece for a minute, because for the town of Guilford, right now, our townspeople can go and put recyclables anywhere else. If Wyndham Solid Waste stops accepting recyclables, the only option is to then have our private hauler or some other potential
No.
thing may surface that they can go to. No?
No.
Okay.
Under Act 148, if you're a hauler, you have to offer recycling services.
Correct.
In addition to that, anyone that accepts trash, so any transfer stations, they also have to accept recyclables. So if
Okay.
you're a self-hauler, you have that option. And if the district did vote to, you know, shut down the MRF and the boxes and the trucking, they still would have a bin at their facilities on Old Thursday where people could bring recyclables.
Everyone would bring it there.
Well, it's possible, so that's another number that's sort of like up in the air, what, you know, how many people are gonna bring. And the state, I've questioned the state, and asked, because there's so many rules in Act 148 about whether the district could charge for recycling.
That's my,
Okay.
my next question, is they
So
can't
I
charge,
asked-
can they?
They can,
They can.
but they have to hide it and include it Either you can cover the cost of it by charging a stick, they already have a sticker fee, like $25 a year. But they could raise that to cover what they expect they'll get in recycling. Or they can assume that people will bring in their trash when they bring in the recycling, so raise the cost of the trash service to cover what people bring. So.
Which actually wasn't the intent of the law, but it's the
So-
best way to get it
So,
done, yeah.
there are options under Act 148, whereas like 20, 25 years ago, when the bins started, there weren't options for people that wish to recycle, but now
But this
there are.
mandatory
No one's-
composting thing that's floating around.
That's in July. It's not floating, it's law.
It's law.
July
Well,
2017.
they're working on changing that too, but that's a whole nother. So, I'm working on an exemption for that, so.
So, with regard to the assessment, I'm thinking that your recommendation would be that we go with a 50-50 grand list population assessment model.
That's what.
At least that's what the seems to be the most reasonable cost
Mhm.
if it were to be passed first.
Right.
No, and from a fairness,
Fairness, from what
I
I
think-
saw after
I-
working on the alternative funding committee and the analysis of each individual town, with the shifting with that scenario, that seemed to shift the charges in all the right directions. Not that those towns are happy, but,
Yeah,
you know.
so we have,
Living fat
so we
for a
have-
long time.
Exactly.
sorry, what did you say, Katie?
No, I've just quietly said we were living fat for a long time.
So we have two instructions to give for Troy.
Yes.
One is on the assessment model,
Mhm.
and I'm thinking that we want to move to ask him to vote for the 50-50.
I will move that we ask Troy to vote for the 50-50 hybrid population to grand list recommendation, absolutely.
Is there a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. All in favor?
I,
Aye. The second decision that he will be asked to vote on is MRF, or no MRF, no trucking.
Right.
And 100% population, no MRF would be the 18,885. And 30,605 would be status quo. So, I guess the question is, would we want to vote for no MRF or staying with the status quo? Would we want our town?
So run that by me again. I'm still stuck on
Do
compost.
you have an opinion on that?
it's coming, but we don't have to worry about
Okay, are you not
compost yet.
comfortable sharing?
It's, I've been going, back and forth with it. I mean, Guilford doesn't have the boxes now anyways, but like I told Sheila the other day, that doesn't mean that people aren't using Brattleboro
Brattleboro.
and Vernon's
Yeah.
possibly. So I don't know what,
Or any other community they
Right,
drive through
they
for
drive
whatever
through.
reason.
So I don't know what percentage of the population in Guilford is taking advantage of that.
And that's what I wish
So-
we had an understanding
Yeah,
of
and I don't
somehow,
have that.
which I don't expect
There's
you
no way
to
to
know.
And
But
we
for
don't
the
really know how
town-
to do it unless we do a survey or,
Right.
ask people on
Or you
town
ask
meeting
the
day
local
or.
private haulers how many
Yeah.
Guilford customers they have and then back into a
But-
number based on the number of
But
properties, but it's
we
not
have
clean.
we have a private hauler and we haul our own recycling.
But you don't have to.
That's
I know we
correct.
can pay more.
Yeah.
So, it's not like anyone's left out of the loop if the boxes go away. That's the biggest thing that the district keeps saying, Act 148 provides for everyone now.
Just in not as convenient of a
Not
way.
as, right.
Yeah, but from
Well,
the cost side.
I don't know, I still think it's as convenient, because you either can have it picked up curbside, or you take it when you take your trash, so what's the difference?
I agree. Yeah.
And that is, the MRF and the trucking is a very big part of the budget,
Well, yeah, that's,
So would they get rid
Subsidizing.
of the boxes and the trucks? They would no
Subsidizing
longer
the
need to have those
manufacturer, the
trucks.
MRF.
Right.
Because it's my understanding, trucks are in bad need of replacement, so
The
it's a
trucks-
capital issue.
Well, that's the next
Yeah.
concern,
Well,
is
that's-
you
yeah,
look at
there's
this
no-
capital
Your assessment's
improvement
gonna go
plan,
back
and it's
up
like
when you have to
giving,
buy new trucks.
There's no capital plan.
Right.
So there's no money.
well, they're
They-
saying they're putting it off for another year, and that
They-
scares the hell out of me.
Right, they, the district has, in 2012, had a surplus fund of 486,000. That's down to 25,000 now. And in the first 3 months of this current year, current budget year, we're already 35,000 in the red.
Right, so I don't have a lot of
And
confidence.
so there's, you know, some people are saying, well, let's wait till it's broke. Well,
I think we're close enough.
I feel
I
like
do
it's
too.
kind of broke.
Right,
I
I
think
mean,
you're
there's,
right.
in the background is the solar project, which could bring us in funds, which could, you know, help with the capital plan, but there's 2 hurdles more, if I understand correctly. You know, they're fairly confident that it's gonna go through, but we didn't really wanna count that and put that into the budget, because it's still not a certainty. So,
no, I think that's smart, I don't
Yeah.
think they can count
we
on it,
can't budget.
It's not even committed.
No, so,
and I think
It's not fully
regardless.
permitted, correct?
right, no, it is not.
So, do we have a motion
For the second piece?
for the
Murphy?
second
What-
piece, Murph or
Dick, do you
no Murph?
have any feeling on this?
Yeah, I'd like more information. Just have to.
I wanna, crystal ball to look at, right?
It needs a little more definition than what,
There's I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Oh.
that the difference between almost 19,000 and 30,000 something is considerable. I think that it's possible that there will be no recycle facility anyway. And I think that the town can explore options pretty quickly about what else to do.
The other possibility, which I didn't bring up, is that if the existing operations change and it just becomes the convenience center and no trucks, you know, no MRF, the towns are gonna be given the option of getting a bin or bins, and you can put it in your town if you'd like, you just then pay privately.
contract, yeah, I was
Right.
just gonna ask that.
So that's a possibility too, so if you found, you know, after this passed, just like the way you're talking, and then you've got people in town are saying, well, I want that, you know, you get a lot of feedback in that direction, and that is a possibility too.
Okay, but this won't go into effect anyway until July 1st,
Exactly.
2017. So it gives us
It gives us
6+
time.
months to figure out
And we're
if
talking
if we need to have alternatives, what to do and how much it would cost
I mean, we're
us.
basically talking about a reduction of 44%. If they pass the 50-50 population and grand list number, at least from my rough calculation, isn't that close to how much the town would be saving?
If it's 50,
If there's no
with the no MRF, it's
res-
14,500. If everything stays status quo, it's 30,600.
So it's more than that.
So it's,
Yeah, I didn't use the
50%.
30, I used the 25 and the 23. I guess I used that because that was, I don't know.
if we stay status quo, but go 50/50, then it drops to 23,600.
So it's even more than that.
So-
So I mean, it's a
Yeah.
significant savings to the town.
But
Without, I don't think, and potentially there could be some hardship, but we have time to figure it out
Mhm.
if people need more convenient recycling
Right.
available to them. But that's the only piece. When they say trucking and recycling, it's really, it's the recycling piece that we're talking about
It's
here.
the access to recycling
Right.
bins.
right.
So, I mean,
It's a lot of money.
I think it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think it's
And
significant.
if it remains, it's gonna go back up.
And it's gonna go
because
up,
you're
and
gonna
my
need to
concern
replace
is this
boxes
capital
and
equipment.
Yeah.
Well,
vehicles.
the
Discussion.
boxes are, majority of them are, their useful life is over. The MRF is 25+ years old. The 2 trucks are dire need of replacement, we've been told. We had a person come from the Freightliner place, and I think it was 170,000 they gave for a quote for 1 new truck.
Mhm.
2 of them are,
Yeah,
so.
several $100,000
Yes.
on the.
I mean, it scares me, and it scares me with the way the
Yes.
fiscal
There's no plan
responsibility
to pay for it.
But there's no
has
capital
been handled.
plan.
So do we?
So I'll make a motion that we ask Troy to vote in favor of no longer continuing with recycling and trucking.
No MRF.
No MRF.
Second? So I do want to make the comment that we have one vote out of 25 or 26.
Right,
So we may or may not,
There's no way of knowing.
right, that's another, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Cheryl, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Cheryl, thank you for this.
It's been a pleasure,
Yes.
Again, thank you.
Cheryl, it was really helpful because I've been asking this question for a while.
Yeah.
And we, you know, I know you had the answers, but I never seek you out to sit down with you to understand it. But seeing all this and being able to digest it was really helpful. So thank you, Town of Guilford.
So I did get this for you though, Sheila, that's from Josh Kelly. From the A&R.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Terrific.
What is this?
For the listeners.
The next item on the agenda is, where's the agenda?
Somewhere in the sea of papers on this
Here's
table.
Laflamme, Commissioner for the Recreation.
Poor
Board.
Who gets like the most patient person in
Yes.
the evening award? Thank you very much.
Sorry to make you.
Chris, if you're lucky, you'll get a butterfly.
Oh, certainly will. So I was asked to approach the
Would you
board.
want to come up as well so that
Sure.
Ian doesn't get whiplash here?
Chairs.
Sure, if you'd like.
I was asked to approach the board about putting a shed on the property behind the office here. We've done some research. Clint Kerber has graciously said that he would donate some or most of the material. Talked to the high school career department and they would be interested in building it for us. The exact dimensions are not finalized because the plans are not done yet for it. But we're thinking around 10 by 14. Placing it somewhere on the property here so it's accessible to coaches when we're doing things at the school. And that's about it.
And you want to get it done before
Can you make it a
winter?
little bigger?
Can we?
Yeah.
Don't,
And-
at an increased cost?
Yeah, I'm sure, I think the 10
I
by
just-
14 would be sufficient for what we need. It's
Yeah,
mostly for
just thinking
jerseys and
of-
sporting
of-
equipment and
of
everything else.
Future use, if
Right.
something goes defunct, you know, maybe.
Town select board meetings?
That was my other question, the size of it. Is it
Right.
big enough to be utilized for something else in the future?
Yeah, I think the 10 by 14 was a good starting point for us.
Yeah, yeah.
We definitely would be
Yeah.
interested in looking at something a little bit larger. We're not anticipating something
Yeah.
enormous behind the building here. But, yeah, we're well on our way to gathering some more equipment and stuff like that and desperately need a home for it.
Terrific.
No, I think it's great.
Yeah.
I guess I would also suggest working with Danny Zambrowski to
Yeah.
locate it in the,
Okay.
Here.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Another
mean, wherever it
yeah.
ends up here, wherever the right place is.
Yeah, I don't know
Ellie?
how well Dan will know that.
Hold on 1 second.
Okay, whoever knows.
It might be Pete and Penny.
Maybe Pete and Penny,
Yeah.
but that's a good point.
Back,
I
you
just-
know, if you put it
Yeah,
back there,
so-
you're gonna be plowing snow against it, yeah.
I just was wondering what's going in it?
It would be sporting equipment, t-shirts, stuff like that. We're hopefully anticipating getting some sporting equipment from the school that they don't use.
The bases I got at the house, if I could ever find them, brand new.
Right. And also anticipating buying more equipment, newer equipment, and we need a safe place to put that.
Yeah.
Talking like soccer, baseball kind of stuff?
Everything, soccer, baseball, basketballs. We
Foosball.
purchased like jerseys and stuff like that for the rec commission already. And finding homes for that is,
Will we need a
Pretty
concrete
important.
pad?
pardon?
Concrete pad?
No, I think we're just going to do,
Wood floor raised?
yeah, a shed possibly on some stone.
Okay.
Like I said, the final design has not been gone through yet.
I think it's so
So-
critical to have a structure that you can house this stuff, having coached for a long time.
So I think the issue would be though, making sure that it doesn't you get access in case of, through snowstorms and stuff like that. And
Right.
also,
Right.
that it doesn't block windows, and that it doesn't make the landscaper, the lawnmower's job any more difficult
Right,
than,
yeah.
Well, that's why I wondered who from the town ought to be
Yeah.
the spearheaded person in charge. What would you recommend, Katie?
If it was, I would have suggested me, Pete and Penny figure it out with
Yeah.
the rec commission
Yeah.
between the three of us.
Okay.
I would make a motion to go forward with this project with some looking as to where to put it, where it'd be accessible in the wintertime and not be plowed in the wintertime.
With select board and town office employee input.
Yeah.
Second.
Thank you. Any more discussion? All in favor? Oh, sorry, Ellie.
That's okay, I'm just wondering why it's not on the school property.
I
The
wish I knew these.
rec commission and the school we're trying to separate ourselves to keep the programs different. I think we wanna keep it on town property, basically to be accessible, because the rec
Year-round.
commission,
Yeah.
that, and the rec commission is kind of like an umbrella of everybody, not just the school children.
And I can
So-
expound on that. The rec commission was actually a commission appointed by the town of Guilford. It has been financially supported partially through the school, but if the school were ever to close, then they would no longer have a space, and this allows them to be insulated through any sort of transition or change that would take place.
Hopefully,
Yeah,
this commission will utilize the ball field, some recreation club at some point and get that involved. I hope that's.
We've been trying to get in contact with the rec club, which has been a little difficult so far, but my hopes that they will come around and have a meeting and be able to
Thank you.
communicate.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thank you for being so patient.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chris, for coming, appreciate it. Yeah. And you'll share that with everybody?
I will. I'll
Great,
pass
you're
it
the
on.
bearer of good news.
Very good.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is our emergency management ordinance adoption. We had it presented last week. Katie did a pretty awesome job on bringing it up to date.
I looked at that and I compared it to the old one. I thought the old one was quite satisfactory, but I don't understand why the town charter was inserted in the new one so much, because I don't believe in 1761 they were worried about evacuation and Vermont Yankee and all that stuff.
I think it's legal
I
terminology.
can tell you, I used the exact language from the Vermont Emergency Management Department of Homeland Security, and what they wanted to see, and what we were tagged as missing in our vigilant guard exercise. So what they wanted, we gave them, and you could fly. And I thought that was
You're right, but that's a separate issue, basically. That's like my question about why do we have to sign something about the bridges, about their employment or
all
something
the
like
extra,
that.
no
Yeah.
lobbying, and it's all
Yeah.
required language to receive federal money.
Quite amazed to see the town charter in there so many times. What the hell does 1761 have to do with today? But,
So apart from that, do we have a motion to accept the emergency and sign to adopt the emergency management ordinance?
Yes, I'll make it.
So moved?
I passed it on for review to some other folks, and they said there's a lot of changes in there that don't get too excited about it, so.
Thank you.
All in
Pretty much
favor?
All in
says the same
favor?
thing,
Aye.
just how they want it said.
And on a related note, Vermont Yankee, there's a meeting regarding the potential funding or use of funds for the next 2 years from Vermont Yankee that I'm going to in Vernon tomorrow morning as your newly appointed emergency management director.
So it would be extending the RERP program for another 2 years, just to clarify.
Really?
Thank you. Excuse me. The next item on the agenda is communication between the town and Joan Seymour regarding restitution for.
Do you want me to provide follow-up?
Would you please?
Sure. So you had asked me to contact the general contractor to see if cost of testing the gas lines and cleaning our house would be covered perhaps under their insurance policy. It will not. Joan has had her gas lines checked. Dennis Franklin came out and did that on Friday, I believe. Everything's fine, no problems. So she doesn't have an invoice for it yet, but it sort of still is hanging out there, how you guys want to handle all of her requests in this letter.
I do not think we ought to pay it.
So she had, just for clarification, she had 3 requests. One was to pay for checking the gas line, The second was to fix the driveway, which I believe Danny already did.
Well, it says for item 3, which was the driveway, this is from Joe Poston, our project manager for Wright Construction. I made sure to look at this area with Rich when we had our final inspection meeting on 10/5. The end of the driveway with the shed is the area that we would have disturbed while installing the catch basin. Everything was put back as it was before. I note the letter is dated September 25th, so I believe this item has already been addressed.
Okay. I know that last week a couple of select board members, and maybe you also, Dick, were concerned about setting a precedent.
Yeah, I am very.
And I think that's a valid concern.
Yeah.
I also know that there were comments about this was a drought summer and everybody's houses are dirty and windows are dirty.
My main point is if I'm worried about my gas line, something happened to my gas, I'm not gonna wait 2.5 months to see if the town will pay for it. I'm gonna get it done.
Right.
And I think in this case here, she put the cart before the horse, because if she got it tested and been something wrong, then she could have said, look, you guys did this. But what she waited and waited and waited and waited, I think we're setting a very bad precedent if we said that.
Do I have a motion regarding her requests?
I have, what kind of motion you want?
Well-
One to deny.
I'm not gonna provide the motion, I'm asking if there is a motion.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know if we need one, really, or do we?
Oh, no, do we
do.
have an open issue before the town?
I would make a motion to refuse the request,
To refuse all 3 of her
all
requests.
three requests. Because I was down the other day, the driveway is fine, it's been reseeded, the lawn has been reseeded. So, yes.
Now, you said 3 requests.
Mhm.
After reading Joe's letter, are there really still 3 requests?
I don't know, the only reason is,
Okay, but that's,
I understand what he's saying about that the letter's dated September 25th, but she was here on the 12th, and she
Okay.
was still asking,
okay.
she at no point said, oh, the driveway's been resolved, you can take that off the
Okay.
list. She did
Fair
not
enough.
say
I
that
just
during the
wanted to
meeting,
be
so I'm
clear.
feeling like that
Okay.
one's still on the
Yeah,
table.
that's all.
Okay.
So maybe he feels like it's done, but I don't think she feels like
Right.
it's done,
Fair
so,
enough.
and she had the opportunity to say that. but she
Okay.
didn't.
So I will second Dick's motion. I am in agreement with him on this.
So, before we have a vote, I just wanted to say that Joe says it's okay, but Danny said he could fix it easily. So that's not a big deal if it's not okay, right?
But again, the meeting was on the 12th, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Joe is responding on the 25th.
No, October, our meeting.
Oh.
Well, let me just add
Oh, okay,
a
I'm
little
sorry,
bit
I
of perspective to
missed.
this. So,
That's true, 'cause
her
we-
letter is dated the 25th
Of September.
Of
of
September.
September, and we had our final inspection on October 5th for the project.
And
Okay.
what did you notice?
I didn't
didn't
notice
came-
anything
yeah.
different than
No,
what
and
it
it's-
was
if-
before, and they called it out during the inspection, and that it's been,
Okay.
they felt like they had already taken care of it, but she did not say anything to the contrary on the 12th when we talked about this.
Mhm.
She didn't say, oh, you know what, the matter number 3 about my driveway has since been resolved, so I'm not asking for that
No,
anymore.
I-
She still asked
it's
for
still an issue,
everything.
okay.
For some reason,
Well,
they put
that's-
that drain there in the corner of her driveway, but I mean, that's a pain, but other than that, like I said, I was there today, the lawn has been reseeded, and coming up in the driveway is that.
So I think that Dick is right, there are 3 open,
Yep.
3 separate requests.
Right.
Yep.
And the motion is to deny all 3 requests. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Dick, you have my paper on the town administrator status.
What do I do with it?
It's 1 page, I think it's underneath.
You don't have one, do
No,
you?
I want, I think.
Because I'm not even looking.
She passed it up here and I did something with it. I don't know, you got it?
So,
I don't, I have a copy of it.
There we go, there it is.
okay, so I want to just go through this really quickly. Did you have a chance to read it now, Dick?
I just glanced at it.
Okay. So we talked last select board meeting about working with VLCT, and I have been in lengthy communication with VLCT and have come to the conclusion that the services that they would offer are things that we are basically just posting advertisements and looking at the any resumes that come in, any applications that come in for suitability to the job description. They would help us write a job description. We've already done it. We've already posted the advertisement in a number of places. We would have to conduct all the interviews anyway. They would give us guidelines on interview questions, but we already have done it and we know how to do this really well. And they would give us access to civil and criminal background checks and to reference checks. And the fees for those services would be between $5,500 and $8,000. And so I personally have come to the conclusion that it's not worth our money, that we would pretty much do this anyway. So we don't have a specific timeline for the project, but we are moving very efficiently. I posted another 2 or 3 ads today. So we now have ads in the VLCT newsletter for free, the Brattleboro Reformer, which I don't know if people have been reading the classifieds, but it's there for 15 days. Today I posted on 7daysvermont.com and in the comments, and so this is a little bit of a mess, but the other places that they suggested we post the openings are Jobs in Vermont, which I felt wasn't the best website for us. A couple of other municipal, you would like to?
Yeah, I have one suggestion. You might post it in the Greenfield Recorder, because that paper is being sold fairly heavily up in this area now. And
That's a good
Thank
idea.
Yeah.
Very good idea.
The other recommendations they made were different municipal associations other than Vermont, but we got an application from Alaska today, so I think we're covered
That's great.
in terms of reach. And
The internet, Alaska.
Alaska. So the
Not for
cost,
Sarah, is it?
the cost of our advertisement to date is $1,149. The Greenfield recorder might be another
Yeah.
couple hundred.
Yeah.
Great job saving
And it's
the
done.
town some money.
Are
Yeah.
you
Sheila.
doing like monster.com or
I haven't,
Career
no,
Builder?
I didn't do them before,
Okay.
you know, so. So that's it. So my recommendation is we don't go with VLCT. I'd like to also suggest that we form a committee of people who are from the select board and also maybe from the outside community of people who would be willing to help interview. And I'm willing to lead that again. Gordon, you have a lot of experience already in assessing this job and speaking with people. Dick, you do too. You were very active on the questioning before, and Anne has agreed to do it if we want to ask her to do it instead. So I don't know about your availability. You said you were working all weekend.
Well, it's on demand. I don't, it's not a schedule. It's, who knows, next 2 or 3 days I'm working. I mean, I'm not working. I know I won't be working next week, so.
Well, that can be on the committee, and if he's available, he could be here. If he's not available, the committee will convene without him.
Yeah.
And I think
As long as that's okay with you, I think.
Do you want to
well,
structure
yeah.
the committee, how many members and tentatively who will be on it?
That's what I'm trying to do right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'm suggesting me, Gordon, Dick if he's available, and Anne. And because Anne has some weeks that she's available and some time that she's not available, but Dick, Anne and I did this whole process in 2014.
That's a very good idea.
And I think your input would be valuable. So that would be my suggestion for the committee. We already have candidate evaluation forms and we have the questionnaires that we used last time that I think are still pretty valid. We could ask VLCT to conduct the criminal and civil background checks.
Great.
I would prefer to do the references on our own because you learn a lot by talking to people and I think it's better to do it that way. And I would like to report that we have 3 very interesting applications already, 2 of them local and 1 of them from Alaska. So that's a pretty broad reach.
I like where you're going with it, but it's putting a lot of the onus of doing this on your
But
shoulders.
we
As
did
long
it
as you're
before,
willing,
yeah.
I know, but I
It
just, I
saves
think
the
it's,
town, you know,
it's saving the
several
town
$1,000s.
a lot of money.
Would we have to pay travel time from Alaska to get down?
I think we might use Skype to do this. So,
Anyway, I think
I
that's a
don't
great
think we
idea.
need
I
a
don't-
motion
I don't
on
think
this.
we
I
need
think
a
I just wanted to update people on
But
this.
thank you, I think that's a great direction,
And I will
Sheila.
circulate the resumes shortly.
And thank you for taking the
You're welcome.
lead on all this together.
Next item on the agenda is the Green River Covered Bridge upgrade.
Which the only update I'm providing, because obviously the project is done, is that I submitted for reimbursement to the Transportation Alternatives Program to the tune of, I think, $260,000 we have remaining that we'll get from that. And then also, I copied you, I emailed Mark Pickering to submit for the $175,000 structures money that's due back. So the Transportation Alternatives is all done. It's just a matter of now receiving the funds, and I'll direct Pete and Penny on where to put that money when it comes in, so that one will be all tied up. I mean, tied up. And then the structures money, hopefully I'll get resolved tomorrow. And give Mark whatever he needs, so that project will essentially be closed out upon my departure, so there'll be no, the town will be fully made whole on everything that we've expended.
I had one complaint in the last week, and I told him he didn't get a bigger horse because one of my little windows weren't lower so he can see out. I said, get a bigger horse.
What was that about the town charter in 1761?
Basically, yeah, same difference, exactly, yeah. That's what I told him, I said, you got a right horse, you try to look out those windows, yeah.
Or stand on the new runner that's in
Yeah.
there, which I love.
That will slow down traffic.
When I noticed, I
Oh,
feel like I was gonna get
Yeah.
whacked, yeah.
Thank
And
you.
I also submitted for reimbursement for the money from the Vigilant Guard grant, so I think all of the grant request money should be back
Complete,
upon my
wonderful.
departure.
Great. The next two items I would respectfully commit.
Postponed to the 12th.
Yes, because the VLCT one is quite labor intensive and
Time intensive.
time consuming.
Okay. And for the work sessions for the fiscal year 2018, I am going to recommend that starting end of November. You think that's soon enough for us, Katie? Because I'm not ready to do it in October, in the beginning of November. That we meet half an hour early to have, before the select board meeting, to work on budget. 'Cause an hour?
Yeah, I think usually an hour, I think we usually.
An hour
It
early.
makes a long meeting, we gotta
You
skip
also have
these
no
10,
guidance.
we gotta skip these 10-minute things that we had tonight, but it's usually an hour, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I would like to wait until the second meeting in November
Fine, yeah.
to do that. Okay. Thank you. The highway update is that Danny's getting ready for winter and the new truck is in.
Yeah.
That's all. There are no excess weight permits. And who wants to take on the,
I don't know, I've never
I
officially
would-
done it.
I would like to make one comment, to Veterans Day, that I invite you all to the VFW for the presentation and free food.
is that on Monday, the 11th?
Yeah,
The 13th?
Veterans Day, yeah.
Oh, that's,
That's on, I think our select board meeting's on Veterans Day, I
Yeah.
think.
it is.
Aha.
It's on the 14th. Is it celebrated on?
Well, thank you.
It's a fairly,
Yeah, so we probably, what time is it, in the afternoon?
it's 11, I think, to get the parade around, and usually they have some guest speakers, and it's a fairly good program.
No, I've been over the years, but thank
So,
you.
Dick, the invitation is for 11 o'clock on Monday, 11 a.m.?
Yeah.
And that's taking place at the VFW.
Yeah, VFW, yeah. You might wanna look around, see if you can find a flyer on that, there's the actual time, because usually it's one of them things, I put my uniform on and go, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So, the food is pretty good, so.
Oh,
Sounds
lunch
good.
after? Thank you.
Now, is this a motion? What do we, how
No,
do we do the warrants?
Oh, the words, yes,
Okay.
yeah.
Do you want?
You just have to start reading it.
So do I make a motion up front and run through them?
You don't even have to be that explicit unless you want to.
Okay,
In
well,
the
I'll just
past-
address the warrants then. We have payroll warrant week ending 10/17/2016 for $5,440.38. Payroll week ending 10/24/2016 for the amount of $5,323.24. Expense warrant number 1708 for the amount $3,168,059.90. Expense warrant number DP08 for $49.50, for a total of $3,178,873.02, of which the significant expenses are appraisal resource group reappraisal contracting services for $3,500. Then we have BUHS number 6, fiscal year 17 education tax payment of $1,034,025.99. And Du Bois and King, final payment for the Green River Covered Bridge project for $15,643.67. And then we have GTSD, fiscal year 17, for the education and tax payment of $2,025,222.49. And then HP Fairfield 2017 International Truck Body and Accessories for $73,700.
Second.
I would just like to say that that is $3,059,000 for education of the children in this town, right? Is that?
That's correct.
Yep.
That's correct.
Get private tutors. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Or did I second? Did I need to second that?
No,
Dick
you moved
seconded.
I moved it. You seconded.
That was Malcolm.
Troy, where are you?
I know,
I
that's
mean,
his
you know.
motion every
Yeah.
meeting. Troy and Gabby.
Communications,
I have just a couple of short ones. One, we have final audit results from our FY16 audit, so we will be receiving, this is just I got a PDF of it and it's saved onto the server.
yeah, I saw that.
We'll get hard copies that will go in the file drawer.
Congratulations for getting it done.
Yeah.
It's
thank
done.
It's a big deal.
It is a big deal, and I just want to say again that we have no findings, no material weaknesses, no difficulties encountered, no significant issues,
May it ever be thus,
you. Yes,
all good.
that's awesome.
So I'm leaving.
Well done.
in good
I
order.
am leaving a clean slate.
Yeah.
behind
Let it be
me.
on the record,
I'm
thank you.
very happy with that. I also too, after the last meeting, when you asked me to respond to Nathan Reel about his inquiry for tax abatement and lawsuit, I ended up reaching out to Pat Bew because I just wanted to be sure that we were on the right track. And she confirmed that the next step for him is to appeal to the court. So it's not even the Board of Abatement, it's to the court. So I'm gonna draft a response to him saying very briefly just that, and it will probably be 2 sentences long, and I will send it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And you'll get a copy, just so you know. And I'll copy Penny, so she's
Okay,
aware.
thank you.
And that's pretty much what I have.
So, before you make a motion to adjourn, Dick, could I have a motion to go into executive session for 2 minutes?
Joe,
I will make a motion to go into executive session at 8:07
to discuss a personnel.
to discuss a personnel matter.
Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
We are on the meeting, we are exited executive session at 8:12 p.m. and no action was taken. Before we adjourn,
Chain her to the chair.
yes, we'd like to present Katie with a little card and our deep appreciation and, kind of love.
Because this is my second meeting, so
Really? Nobody really cares? And we're gonna miss you a lot, but the card kinda says it.
Okay, do you want me to open it?
Yeah, you could open it.
But we greatly appreciate
Yeah,
Well, thank
all
you.
you've done for the town since you've been back.
you don't have to respond on TV. And I would entertain a motion to,
I move we adjourn.
Second,
all in favor?
aye.
Aye.